Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so I'm going to briefly talk about a movie I just watched on, well not just, I think it was yesterday morning. And the movie's name is Heaven is for Real. It's what came out in 2014. I don't know why it says because it came out, well, okay, they uploaded it 4 years ago on YouTube. Let me read the description. Heaven is Real is a faith-based family drama inspired by Nebraska pastor Todd Burpo's best-selling book about his 4-year-old son, Colton Burpo, who had visited heaven, and describes his journey. His family is facing a financial difficulty, and the young Burpo used by God. Alright, so there's a couple pieces in the movie I want to talk about. So it's kind of an upsetting, I guess, movie in a way because of what happens. And I think it absolutely applies to this channel in how I've kind of been borderlining between narcissist abuse and the Bible and Jesus and God and believing in faith and all that stuff. So essentially the pastor has a wife and he's got a daughter, and he's got a young son that's about 4 years old. And I believe this was based, in fact I'm sure it's based on a real life story, because I actually looked up a clip of the kid when he was a bit younger talking about his experience. So essentially the pastor is a really successful pastor. They've got a fairly big church. It's not a mega church, but it's a big church. And it's a packed house, and he's a really good speaker. He really knows how to connect the messages and get the word across, and he gets people going. He gets them. He's, I would say, partially also inspirational, motivational too. So he's a really good speaker, and he draws a really big crowd. So it starts out, him and his wife realize they're having a little bit of, no. So what happened was, I think the first thing that happened was he had broke his leg in a softball game, and he tried to pastor that Sunday but on crutches, but it didn't work out because then he had kidney stones, and so it was really painful. They rushed him to the hospital again, and so he had to take a couple weeks off, right? Then I think they extended that to about a month, if I remember right, maybe a little bit more than that. And they were kind of having troubles with the bills, and one of the head guys of the church, I'm going to call him an elder, I don't know if that was his official title, but he was probably the financial guy. He was the local town banker, and I think he was the branch manager, etc. And he said, "Hey man, let me loan you some money." He's like, no, he goes, "I don't want to take out a loan." He goes, "We can handle it." He goes, no. He goes, it's a personal loan from me. He goes, "Just pay me back whenever you can, or, don't worry about it." So the church people really support this guy. They're like, "Yeah, take some time off, no worries. And after a while, his son gets appendicitis, and he's really sick for a couple of days, and finally the mother goes, "I think his appendix must have burst," and rushed him to the hospital, and they said, "Yeah, it must have burst yesterday. He's got poison all over him, it's like we got to do emergency surgery." Like, it was kind of a really scary deal, and the kid almost died. So when the kid's on the operating table, he goes up to heaven, or he floats above, and he looks down at himself and the doctors, and he floats up even further. And what happened was the mother and father had separated. The mother was in, I think, the waiting area, and the father went into the room where you can do the prayer, like the mini church inside the hospital. And the father is yelling at God, and he's like, "Don't take my son away from me. You've put me through so many trials, and don't do this to me." And he's really mad. He's yelling. And so at one point in the movie, the son's name is Colton, if I remember right, and him and his dad are talking, and he brought something up about that, and he said, "Yeah, you and mom were separate or separated, and you were yelling at God." And he goes, "Well, how could you know that?" He goes, "You were on the operating table when that happened." And eventually at one point, it might have been just before or just after that point, he tells his dad about how he talked to Jesus, and he sat in Jesus' lap, and how heaven is beautiful, and it has more colors than we have here on earth, and it's beautiful, and nobody there hurts you, and etc., etc. Now the sad part about it was his wife at first, and even I would say the pastor, the father, they didn't believe. Even though he gave them some evidence of, "Hey, you were in this other room separate from mom at this time when I was getting operated on." And so they had empirical proof, like, wow, like there's no way he could have known that. The kid was freaking under anesthesia, and had his stomach cut open getting surgery. So as the story goes on, he reveals more and more and more, and at one point he revealed that he had seen his father, or maybe it was the pastor's grandfather. I can't remember if it was his. Yeah, I think it was the pastor's grandfather, and he died, and he was always worried if he went to heaven or not. And he said, "Oh, by the way, was your grandfather on this side or on that side, or maybe it was his father? I don't remember the technical." And he goes, "Yeah, it was on my. I think he said it was on my mother's side. Why?" He goes, "Oh, well, I saw him, and he's okay." And he's like, "Wait, what do you mean you saw him?" And he even said his name. Or Nick, it was either nickname or it was his name. And the father was like, "Well, how do you know that?" And he's like, "Well, I saw him up in heaven with Jesus." And he said he's okay. And the dad, was worried. Was one thing was like, "Well, did he make it to heaven?" And well, yeah, he did. So the pastor goes back to the church, and they're like, "Hey man, you got to come back to church, man. We're kind of like, we've been hiring these other pastors. They suck and they're horrible, and and they're just like, hey, the church is losing money. Like, come on, you got to get back on track." And the pastor does something kind of, what's the word of unusual, something that pastors don't usually do. He talked about God. He talked about Jesus. He talked about heaven. Now, what I mean was, he was talking about his son. He's like, "Hey, my son's been saying this stuff, and it lines up with this is true." And oh yeah, another part of the story about his dad or his grandfather was, the dad went up into the attic or somewhere storage, and he got a picture of him towards the end of his life. He goes, "Is this the person you saw?" And he goes, "No, I didn't see him." He goes, "But that's him." And he goes, "No, that's not who I saw." So the kid goes, "No one in heaven is old." And so then the dad runs back up to wherever it was he had all the pictures stored. And he got a younger picture, and he comes back down to the kid with this other picture. He goes, "Yeah, that's him right there." So the father made the huge Christian mistake of talking about God and Jesus and how his son had this, what do you call it, afterlife experience or heavenly experience. And everybody, I think even the wife was like, "Well, did he die on the table?" And I think they even called the hospital. Yeah, the dad talked to the doctors. "No, he never died on the table. His brain waves were going, his heartbeat was fine, etc., etc. So no, he never died even for a few seconds on the table." So the father is sharing this spiritual experience. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say spiritual? So the spiritual experience that his son had, and he was sharing what his 4-year-old child said to the church, and the church, it goes into automatic ostracization mode, where they're basically ostracizing the pastor and his family. And I mean right away, like automatic. And I'm going to be real honest, it was upsetting to me, because I'm like, well, it's typical. I mean, those are religious people. Religious people and religion doesn't want to have anything to do with God or Jesus or heaven at all. Because that's not real to them. So then the son came and talked to the mom, and I think I think I'm missing a piece here, but I'm going to give this piece, hopefully the other one pops up. But then he starts to share with the mother, and out of the nowhere, he goes, "Mom, you had a baby that died inside you, didn't you?" And she's looked at him, she's like, "Well, yeah, well, how do you know?" Because this happened before the kid was born. And so the mom's starting to come around, like, well, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this. And what did he say? He described something about her. So she goes, "What was her name?" And he looks at her and goes, "Oh, she didn't have a name. You guys never named her." Which was true, because she said, "Well, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, and that's why they didn't name her yet." So right when he was explaining this to the mom, the father walked in. I think they were in the laundry room, and Colton's on the floor, and the mother's kind of standing up, and eventually kind of crouched down, I think, and the father walks in and hears what he says and is just blown away. And so the church, I think he shared that with, it's at the next Sunday Mass or whatever you call it, and everyone in the church was really starting to look at the pastor like, oh, okay, he's your son's delusional. Oh, it's just coincidence, and nobody believes. Nobody believes. And yet this kid is telling them things that he never heard. There's no way he could have known that. He's too young to know, etc., etc. So even the elders of the church had sat him down and said, look, we need to make a decision here. So this guy's a successful pastor, brings the people in by the masses, brings the money in. He goes through a rough patch. He breaks his leg, and then the next week he gets kidney stones, and then like a week later, a month later, his son has his appendix burst, so he had to take some time off, and now his son's going through this thing, and everyone is looking at the pastor like, yeah, I think we need to get rid of you and find someone else. And that is my experience with the church. You could have concrete evidence of something. You could tell someone the day they were born, even if you just met them 5 minutes ago, and they'd be like, coincidence. Or then you could tell them what their favorite color is, or you could tell them, your twin brother died at birth, and they'd be like, how do you know that? It's just, well, I went to heaven, or I had this experience, and here's how I know. Oh, no, you're just weird. That's just strange. And so here's my point. I find that a lot of Christians, most Christians, I'm talking probably 97 to 99% of Christians, they don't believe at all. In fact, when you actually have a real life spiritual experience, they will look at you like you're weird, like you're strange, like that. Like, this isn't real. Like, why are you saying this? And yet, they will tell you every Sunday, every lunch you have with them, every dinner, every time you talk with them, are you a believer? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in angels? And yet the minute you do, they look at you like you're nuts. They're not asking you if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in God, if you believe in heaven. They're asking you if you agree to follow our rules of conduct. Religion is a man-made construct. Religion is a left brain construct. The left brain construct stuff. It's about rules, structure, which is construct, and organization, which is another form of constructing something. Again, the left brain is about rules, organization, and structure. So it's a lot of rules, which is what religion is about. It's about putting you in a box. Remember, the left brain is in the box thinking. It's about rules, structure, and organization. So when someone comes along who is an open-minded, and that's right there, the minute you say that to a Christian, they're going to freak out. What do you mean open-minded? You got to follow the rules. Like, do you believe what I believe? The minute someone starts pulling that bullshit on me, like, we have to believe the same things in the same way, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I don't think I've ever asked someone or said something, even when I was a strong Christian. I've never went, do you believe that Jesus is your Lord and Savior? Do you believe that Jesus died for your sins? Do you believe that you're going to go to hell if this, and that? I've never done that. I've never intimidated people. I've never used rules to get people to conform, to fit in a box. A lot of it is they just want you to be beneath them. They want to push you down and say, I'm better than you, I'm above you, now do as you're told. So the church is really putting pressure on this pastor and his family, like, hey, it's kind of like, hey, it's time to conform, or we got to find someone else. So essentially what the pastor did, he found a medium way to talk about it and then collapse it. And I don't remember, I'm going to go watch it real quick. Hold on. So here's another thing that I found to be quite shocking, and I don't know if I want to use the word confusing, but it was just shocking. Like, everyone, I think it was even the father or the mother was like, well, did he die on the table? Did he have a near-death near-death experience? And when he was revealing this to the church during a mass, or whatever you call it, a service, a couple of people at church said, well, did he die on the table? And everyone kept saying, what, did he die on the table? And he said, no, he didn't. And they're like, well, then how did he go to heaven? And my first thought was, where's this magical rule book that says you have to die to go to heaven? Like, where is it? I have never heard in my entire life that there was a requirement that you had to die before you could spiritually go to heaven. I can't like where is this coming from? I've never heard that in my life. So it was an unconscious rule that somehow people made up that I've never heard of, by the way. And it's a rule. It's not even real. Like God can do anything. Now, people who are very logical and are following the rules, they're limited, and they're not just limited, they're closed off from possibilities, which is the right brain. So I don't work with groups or people that are like, well, Michael, you got to fit within these paradigms. I'm like, no, I don't. Who the hell says I have to fit within your paradigms? Sorry, I'm not teaching here. So one of the things when I went through the spiritual awakening, it was incredible, and people could see the things that I could do while I was doing it. Now, I wasn't walking on water. It wasn't turning water into wine, nothing like that. But I was doing some pretty incredible things for 6 months, and the people in the church, they couldn't deny it. But at the same time, they did exactly what they did to Jesus. They demonized him. The religious people demonized him. And Jesus was of these people and of their religion and of their church. And here they are. It's like, this is the thing that frustrated me the most about the story of Jesus, is here he was doing the very miracles that they're saying that their apostles and their leaders and their teachers and Moses and all these great people like, oh man, I just forgot the name. I think it was Jesus' cousin, not Zechariah, but, oh man, I can't remember. Hold on. Like John the Baptist, I think is who I'm talking about. So it's like they talk about the things that these people could do, but then when someone comes into real life, they're like, oh, well, that's impossible. So this is where, if I get upset with the church, it's because, so on the one hand, you want me to believe, but don't believe. And that's the teaching of the church. It's like, it's insane. It's like, we want you to believe this stuff, but if it happens in real life, it's not real. It's like, wait, what? It's conformity. Conformity is giving up your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own rules, your own awareness, your own noticing of things, your own thinking, like your own, like, well, here's what I experienced. You're not allowed to have that. See, where I come from is open versus closed. Like, I don't do the closed thing at all. Like, everyone has to believe the same thing, say it in the same way, say the same phrases with the same slang, or, or whatever it is. It's left brain conformity, fit in the box, be like me, think the way I think, let's all be robots, and let's all repeat the same mantras and the same everything. Oh, it's like, you can't learn that way. You learn from diversity. You learn from, and I kind of hate that word because it's been used by a group of people that don't mean diversity, but like, our group is this, accept us while we don't accept you. So I think that word's been kind of abused. Alright, here's a better way of saying it. I don't believe in beliefs. I don't believe in rules. I don't believe in structure. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in control. So a lot of people will use the Bible or Jesus or God to guilt trip you. Why? To control. Why? Those are very left brain people. Now look at the left. I'm the left brain. Logic. It's got rules. It's got strategies. Now look at the bottom. It says control. Now look over on the middle and the right in the green. It says freedom right above passion. Which one do you think Jesus was? If you think he was about controlling people, putting them in a box, being Mr. Overly Logical, you're wrong. He's about freedom. He's about love. And the right brain is the emotional, creative, spiritual brain. So look above. It says love, love, love. It's almost like I shouldn't talk about Jesus only because a lot of you will get right back into that left brain. Okay, here's the rules. I'm a Christian. I got to follow these rules. If that's what you've been hearing from me this entire time, I am telling you, you haven't heard a word that I've said for the last 4 years. See, I don't believe in beliefs. I believe in my experience. I believe in what I felt. I believe in what, like this image I got in my mind when I was meditating, and then boom, I make a YouTube video about it, and then boom, it happens the next day. That's what I'm talking about. And one of many examples over the last 4 or 5 years that I've put on my YouTube channel one of the more recent ones, but it was quite a while back. I don't know, 9 months or however long it was I had this image of this bridge collapsing, and I had said, well, it looked like the Golden Gate Bridge because I live near the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think I even said it may not be that bridge, but it completely collapsed and fell into the water. Well, I don't remember if it was the very next day or the day after that. That's when that bridge collapsed in, I think it was Missouri or wherever it was, and the ship had hit it and it broke it and it collapsed into the water. It was world news, etc., etc. So, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, Mike's telling me to be a Christian. Oh, no, I am not. I'm not telling you to be a Christian. I'm not even, it's like, I want you to believe. Not in a set of rules, not in a set of beliefs, not in a set of values. I want you to believe that there's something out there. I want you to believe that there's something. I don't know what you know, I don't know what, I'm going to call it a bunch of different words. God, I call it God. That's what I call it. That there's something out there, a power, a source, an energy, a spiritual something, a spiritual energy form that you can pray to, that can help you to manifest, that can help you to create. Now here's the thing. I don't want to push any religion on you. I hope there are people on this channel that are Buddhist. I hope there are people on this channel that are Muslim. And I hope there's people that are Catholic and Christian and everything. I just want you to open up, not to the rules, but to the teachings, the spiritual teachings and the spiritual awarenesses. And there's nothing wrong with your religion. There's nothing wrong with any religion. I'm not knocking that. I'm knocking when people really shift it over to like, oh, you got to follow these rules. This is what we want you to believe in. That's what I'm talking about. Let go of that. Love opens the door. Love is, it's about having, it's you know, saying this phrase, it's about deepening the experience with God, with spirit, with soul. And I don't care how you do that. I don't care if it's through Buddhism, through meditation, through deep prayer, through whatever. And you know what? I think a lot of you, I think you really need to start doing deep, long prayers. I'm talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, where you just really go into that deep state, because that will help you experience God. And some of you, hopefully all of you, to begin doing a meditational practice where you are meditating for at least 20 minutes a day. See, my whole thing is we have lived in a very condensed existence. It's very dense, okay? And to begin to teach you how to expand your energy, expand your awareness, to open up, to lighten up, to allow the molecules and the atoms and electrons to spin freely versus being condensed down into this density, which is where you will never experience God. So you can keep your religion. I am 100% okay with that. I hope you guys didn't say, oh, so he doesn't think I should be Buddhist or I shouldn't be, you know, maybe even Christian or what. No, I've never said that. I know. See, here's the challenge: is you've gone to church in these temples for so long, you've been hearing this message, which was left brain, and I'm saying a very right brain message. So it may sound to you, oh, he's talking about Jesus, so he's probably trying to make me be Christian. No, I'm not doing that. Whatever your teaching is, whatever your religion is, whether you're an American Indian or Sikh, a Sikh temple, or Indian, or whatever, it's go deep into it. Make it a practice, make it a commitment, so you can have a deeper connection and understanding, and have actual real life experiences with and or from God, source, energy, spirit, whatever you want to call it, so you can begin to realize that all of this is real. And find what works for you. I really don't care where you go, where you have to start. But move forward, dedicate yourself. It's the dedication that will show you, like, okay, this is a dead-end road. Because if you don't really dedicate yourself, you'll never find out. You've got to dedicate yourself to find out, to open up, to have experiences. For some of you, a lot of you, this channel is working for you. This is your place where you want to be and maybe need to be, to hear and or learn certain things before you move on to your next teaching, your next learning, your next shift. So a lot of you think you're learning through my words. You're not. You're learning through the energy. I absolutely 100,000% know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are learning by the energy that you're feeling from me, you're experiencing from me, energy that I'm playing with and shifting naturally from my own heart energy. So all I'm saying is be free. If I had to say, like, what is the one word or phrase, it's freedom, or be free. And explore your life, explore the world, explore yourself, explore your spiritual side, like have spiritual experiences by creating them through deep meditation, intention, etc., etc. And intention is really how you create your experiences. Set an intention, decide. It literally could be as simple as right before you pray, be like, well, what's my intention? And I will say that out loud to God. Like, my intention is I want to have an answer for this. And my intention is I want to have this experience. So when I work with people, I really want to work with people and teach them breathing techniques and grounding techniques, because that leads to everything else. So those are going to be the first couple sessions, first 2, 3, maybe even 4. I'll be teaching you 1 or 2 grounding techniques, deep breathing techniques, and we'll do them together for a while, because these techniques open you up, and that's what allows the energy to flow and to have these deep experiences. Okay, I've got a good example. So when I work with men, they come in their left brain. Well, I'm teaching them right brain concepts. If they're listening to me while they're in their left brain, I'm speaking gibberish to them. They literally can't understand what I'm saying. So the first 2 days or more, like every session, we'll do these grounding techniques, deep breathing techniques, peripheral vision, internal awareness, and we're constantly rolling from one to another, about every 45 minutes to an hour, until they really open up. And at that point, they'll start understanding what I'm saying, because we're using the same brain, the same processor. And now we're on the same page. And at that point, they can begin to have these actual experiences. So words, logical conversations, they don't really get you anywhere. It's the expansive, open, emotional experiences that you have by learning how to open up that begin to not only shift your energy, but begin to allow your energy to begin learning all of this. The best way to say it, or the closest way to say it, is you download all of this energy of information. So information is passed on through energy, through emotions, and that's why you have to be open to the emotional processor, the right brain, which opens up to your entire physical body, every muscle, every nerve, every fiber, your skin, everything. That's how you receive massive amounts of information, by opening up. And that's a huge part of every course you'll take with me, whether it's one-on-one coaching on the phone, in person, whether you take a 5-day training, whether you're doing the women's course, the Why Men Just Don't Get It. We've got to get you open up to receive the information naturally and comfortably. So what I hear a lot, especially from women, is how comforting my voice is. Like when you guys call me on the phone, or even just make comments about, I would say most of my videos, the last couple of videos, I wasn't quite this natural and this comfortable. And it's all due to when I do my deep breathing techniques, my grounding techniques, I'll stretch for 5 or 10 minutes and just really get comfortable with myself so it can come out naturally. So one of the ways that I go through life is I want to experience other people. I want to experience their knowledge, their information. I want to understand where they're coming from. I don't care about whether it's what I believe or don't believe. It is like, do they think the way I don't care. In fact, I hope it's something so radically different that I actually learn something that pops me open even more, that helps me understand things on an even deeper level. I just want to understand people. That's it. I want to understand what they think. I want to understand what they believe. I want to understand why do they believe that? Like how did they come to that conclusion? Like Like, so when I listen to people, I'm wide open. There's no judgment. It's just completely receiving the pieces and allowing them to put them together as best they can, so I can go, oh, I understand what you're saying. See, I just want to learn from you. I want to understand who you are, where you are, or learn what it is, the learnings that you've learned. So I have a really good way of absorbing information from people, even just by being around them. And all I do is I open up to my right brain fully and completely. I drop my awareness down inside my body, so I'm fully connected to my 5 senses: see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. And I mean every square inch of my skin around my body. And once I do that, then I connect to the energy field that's around my entire body. And once I'm there, I electromagnetically receive information from your body language, from the way you move, the tone, the tempo, the rhythm. I'm absorbing all of this information that you don't even know that you're giving out. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't caught on, yes, this is what the internal awareness class is about, the emotional grounding internal awareness. These breathing techniques, these awareness techniques that I teach, it teaches you how to connect more and more and more deeper into your body and expanding outwards. Alright, God bless you guys. I do hope this video helped you to physically feel more emotionally grounded. Just feel better, like physically. And remember, if you'd like to donate to this channel, there's a PayPal link right there in the description box. All you have to do is go ahead and click it, and then there'll be like a donate button, etc. By the way, the name of that movie is Heaven is for Real 2014. I'll leave a link right there in the description box. So if you like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. Alright, that's it guys. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video.